for joining us tonight. I'm super excited about this first meeting of the year that we're actually talking about activation. That's what we're going to talk about. I'm April Wagner, and my husband Bob and I are going to be your hosts. And a little bit about us. This is an industry that we have been in for almost 30 years at this point. And our first 25 years were with what we consider to be direct antioxidants, direct nutritional supplements. And maybe you're familiar with that term. If you've ever taken a multivitamin or, fruits or vegetables, those are all direct antioxidants. But what we're going to talk about is something a little bit different tonight, and that's called activation. And what activation does is something, at a cellular level, and we're going to talk about the science behind that. Okay, so we're going to talk about the difference between supplements and activation. Sorry, I'm still letting people in. Okay, so, this is a discovery, and this is a fascinating story on how this all began. But this all began in a lab. And there actually was a scientist that actually made this huge discovery, and this goes back to the 60s. But it all began with a simple question: that is declining health something we must accept as part of getting older? So just to give you an idea of the different statistics and stuff, it is well documented and studied that generally the last 10 years of your life are in declining and poor health. And nobody certainly wants that. And I can relate to that. I took care of my grandmother for many years. And, ultimately, it came to the point where she was in a nursing home. And maybe you've known somebody like this, in a nursing home, diapers, feeding tube, didn't know who I was. So just a horrible end to her life. But, about the same time, I saw Bobby's grandma pass, and she did so in a manner that has always stuck with me, made a huge impression on me, even at a young age. She actually went around the house and she labeled everything, that was in the house. There were 9 kids, so that there were no arguments. And she literally sat down in a chair and passed. And so, having those two different polar examples of how someone passes on, I very much want to be like my husband's grandma as opposed to my grandma. So this has always been of interest to me, and maybe it will be of interest to you. But what we found out in the lab is that there's actually a pathway that can be turned on. And he found this discovery in the 60s, many awards, big prestigious awards, the Elliott Crescent Award he was awarded. And these are the type of awards that typically only doctors and scientists, mostly scientists, knew about. It wasn't something that we all heard about as general news. But what happened is, decades later, he actually figured out how to flip the switch on this aging pathway. And I'm going to actually talk about 3 aging pathways tonight, but the first one is what we know as NRF2 activation. And flipping the pathway, this pathway, we can actually have much better control over our genes and just have better control over good genes and actually be able to turn off some of our bad genes there. So, and those may be things that are passed down from your parents, your grandparents, as far as disease and how they aged, how well they aged or how well they didn't age. But what happens is we have to use this little medical term called oxidative stress. So what is oxidative stress? Oxidative stress is the difference between all the free radicals that our body creates. So as we're sitting here, we're creating free radicals. Anytime we eat, breathe, exercise, around microwaves, the water, all of this stuff creates a lot of free radicals. And we try to take in previously supplements, direct antioxidants, eat fruits and vegetables to offset all these free radicals. But the difference between these free radicals and the amount of antioxidant we take in is called oxidative stress. And you can see it can take a normal cell to where it becomes, a disease cell. And that's certainly something nobody wants. So the product that he came out with is called Protandim NRF2. And this is a product that has a lot of science. This is not my opinion by any means. When my husband and I were in that previous company, we worked with, supplementation and direct antioxidants for 25 years. We did over 200 million in sales. We were in many, I don't know how many different physician offices, setting up their offices, helping them have kind of a turnkey program, educating them on nutritional products. So we were kind of what we thought really well-versed until we found out about this, and it was kind of like an aha moment. But this Protandim NRF2 actually reduces oxidative stress by 40% in the first 30 days. And so Protandim activates your body to create more than 1 million times per second the antioxidant value. Maybe you're familiar, maybe you're not familiar with something called glutathione. Glutathione is our master antioxidant. And again, there are many studies on what this can do to your immune system out there, particularly with the pandemic and things that are going on. But because this is such exciting science that I'm talking about here, obviously they had to be patented. We have 13 patents protecting the duplication of this formulation, and it's a simple formulation. It's really just 5 plant-based ingredients, and they're really kind of in minute amounts, but it's the synergistic effect of these 5 plant-based ingredients and why it works so well. I'll give you an example. My husband and I, we actually took 3 of these ingredients before finding out about Protandim. So we took turmeric, we took green tea, and we took ashwagandha. We took those in some different products that we took. And we could have just said, well, you know what? Why don't I just add the milk thistle and the bacopa and call it a day? Well, we would get nowhere near the results that we would get using this one pill as opposed to taking 5 pills of our own and probably a lot more of each of those pills. But we get 1,800% better results using this one pill as opposed to if we took, 5 different pills there. So that's not only is that easier, but, certainly want those results 1,800 times better. This is an idea of how powerful this Protandim NRF2 is. In order to get what is in one little pill, we would need to ingest every day, day in and day out, 11 pounds of blueberries, 375 oranges, 120 tablets of vitamin C, and drink 87 glasses of red wine every day, day in and day out. And before food prices went crazy, I kind of put together some figures, and I figured it'd be about $700 a day to be able to buy all that food to be the equivalent of just one pill, this one little NRF2 Protandim. Even more so, as we age, our oxidative stress levels go up naturally, and therefore we all know disease and aging sets in, inflammation sets in. What's really cool about the Protandim, for every month that you're on it, you reduce a whole decade of oxidative stress, so much so that you bring it down to the time when you were 20 years old. And so for an example, if I took an 80-year-old who was on Protandim for 8 months, a 60-year-old who was on Protandim for 6 months, a 40-year-old that was on Protandim for 4 months, and a 20-year-old, and I took all their blood, I could not truly tell whose blood was that originally of the 20-year-old. And that's how exciting that is. So the NIA, the National Institute of Aging, did a study where they showed that Protandim actually increases lifespan by about 7%. As I said earlier, this is not by any means, when we talked about direct antioxidants or supplements, a lot of that was our opinion. And, how much vitamin C you should take on a daily basis is kind of like politics and religion. It's all over the place, as with D and any other thing that you can think of. But the Protandim itself has over 30 peer-reviewed studies on a site called PubMed.gov. Now, if you've not heard of PubMed.gov, typically it's a place where doctors and scientists go to find out about interactions, cautions, warnings, ingredients in pharmaceutical drugs. Usually it doesn't even ever come into play when we're talking about nutritional products. Besides PubMed.gov, you can also go to something called Google Scholar. And Google Scholar has all these different studies on it as well, relating to the product itself. I mean, think about it, the last time you looked at a nutritional product that had these kind of studies. When I'm talking about 30 plus peer-reviewed studies, those are studies not only done by one leading medical university, but they're conferred by a bunch of other doctors too. So again, it's not only one doctor's opinion or one medical institute's opinion. There are over 250,000 studies to date on PubMed.gov or Google Scholar, each of those, if you look at those as well. So tons and tons of studies. But this gets really exciting. Not only are places like Harvard, the National Institute of Health, I said the National Institute of Aging, Washington State, Colorado University, I can go on and on with all these. There's a long, long list of large medical universities that have done studies on the products. But Washington State went so far as to say the health effects of NRF2, which is the reduction of that oxidative stress I talked about, inflammation, disease, aging, may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and the most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. This is huge. This was a huge discovery. And again, because we're unfamiliar with it, most people have not heard about that. It's just so exciting. And they liken this discovery to things like stem cells, penicillin, aspirin, huge discoveries that, and they said that this was the most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. And they actually use therapeutic in there as well. So super exciting. But the second theory of aging we're going to talk about is mitochondria. And interesting enough, mitochondria, we have thousands and thousands of these per each cell. And what happens is over time, by the time we certainly get to midlife, we've reduced half the amount that we originally had. And this includes things that, help the energy to beat our heart, have our brain work, our lungs inflate, our muscles work. So they're so important. And maybe there's a direct correlation why people say, once you get to the age 40, it's all downhill. Well, that needn't be, because we've got a product here that actually will help increase the amount of mitochondria, or ATP, the energy at every cell, to help slow down that aging process, help improve sleep and cellular repair, supports cardiovascular system, brain health, improves cellular health. And you can just see more natural energy at a cellular level, so our bodies can really be the best that they can be. And again, all natural ingredients here, but it's the synergistic effect. It's the way that he put this recipe, I'll liken it to a recipe that he put together, that we get such amazing results with. The third pathway is something called NAD. And there's a few copycats out there now. We have 100% activation of this product in the first 24 hours. And you can see others, they can't even come close after many months. In fact, maybe you've heard of intermittent fasting or calorie restriction. People go on severe calorie restriction to try to get the benefits that we get from these 2 little capsules. So much so that if I was to try to mimic that, just do it naturally, calorie restriction, I would probably only be able to have between 400 and 600 calories a day. And the minute I went over that, I'd blow it, and I wouldn't have all these proteins at a cellular level I need. So what do these proteins do? They improve mental focus and concentration, supports positive mood and motivation, helps with energy endurance and also recovery, boosts mental and physical energy, helps with libido, helps with weight loss, maintains healthy cholesterol levels, the vascular system. So you can see there are a lot of benefits from aging with this product. But again, we've got the only product out there that is actually proven to be able to increase those sirtuins, those proteins at a cellular level, so that we can get these benefits 100% in the first 24 hours. And you actually feel this product because you know that you've taken something that very, very first day. Now, people quite often will say, which of the 3, because, I've talked about, energy at a cellular level. I've talked about anti-aging with NAD. I've talked about oxidative stress, reducing that, which helps with inflammation, disease, and aging. Which one of these 3 should I take? Well, I'll tell you, using the 3 of these together, I would tell you to take all 3, but using the 3 of these together, and this is a patent pending process, we get 2,100% better results with each of those products. So the benefits that we get are 2,100% increased just by using all 3 of those. So helping all 3 pathways of aging. What's super cool is, we not only have products on the inside, but we've got products on the outside. So we talk about super clean products that if you've not downloaded the app called Think Dirty, you need to do that. Take whatever you have in your shower, whatever shampoo, body wash you're using, put the app on your phone and type in what you're using. You'll be amazed at how even some of these things that say they're supposed to be so clean are. You put the product in there and it'll rate it from 0 to 10, 10 being the worst. Our products come in from a 0 to 3. Most of them, as you can see, are a 2 or a 1. Very, very clean products that are really good for you because, we're using that NRF2 on the inside to reduce all the inflammation, disease, the aging, but we also have it in our hair care and our skin care, which is just amazing. We've got a brain health energy drink as well that has that NRF2 activation in it. And more recently, there's huge studies on people that have problems, particularly as they age, with macular degeneration, retina problems, just, not being able to see at night when they drive, having trouble focusing after they're reading, vision getting poor as they get older, you need to go to those cheaters to be able to read and stuff. So this is a product that we have gotten just amazing, amazing results with, and that's Icy Bright. But just a summary again, because I threw a lot of science at you, but reversing these 3 pathways can just really improve your life so much. When you think about improving sleep quality, improving exercise, recuperation, vitality, overall energy, libido, weight loss, better memory, focus, concentration, healthier hair, skin, and nails, and really, like I said, and gave you that example of just really slowing down the aging process so that we can actually reverse our blood to that of a time when we were 20-year-olds. I mean, who would want that? So, that's a little bit of the backstory on how exciting the products are and how the discovery came to be. But what's equally exciting is the study on how, not the study, but how the company actually came to be, because that's got a very interesting story, and you would think it might not almost have happened. But I'm gonna have my husband come and sit with you, and he's actually gonna share the story on how our company came to be. So if you'll hold on 1 minute, thanks for your time.
Hey, good evening. I don't know about you. I've heard that before though, that presentation. I've heard it once or twice, but every time I hear it, every time I hear it, I just want to go take the products again. Does that ever happen to you? I take my products every morning and I use all of them. Okay. Like everything she went over, even at the end there, I use them all, but I don't know about you. I can be a bit of a news junkie, and the news lately, not only is it depressing, okay, but there's so many conflicts, going on, like the things that we were told a year ago, about the pandemic and the vaccines and the virus and this and that. There's just so much conflict now, like things aren't the way we were told originally and this and that. And I got to share with you, I kind of like the idea that while they're figuring all that stuff out, that we can actually take some control of our own immune systems. Doesn't that appeal to you? Like, how could it not be exciting to be able to turn your blood back to that of a 20-year-old? I got kids in their 20s and 30s. It's kind of exciting to think that that can happen, okay? So I said, well, why all the experts are figuring out all that other stuff, why don't we just do what we can do, okay? And it's really, it's exciting. And what I get to share with you now is a little bit about the company, okay? Now there's videos on all these products, there's YouTubes, there's all kinds of additional information. April gave you a brief overview of our big 3, okay? We call it our Tri-Synergizer, but let me give you a little bit of background on the company. Now, as April said, we came from this industry, okay? We've been in the wellness space and in direct sales network marketing since 1992. Okay, we spent 25 years. Get this one. You'll probably never hear this and never meet anyone that could say this again. We were with a company the first day they opened, and we were there the day they closed 25 years later. Okay, and we never thought we would be looking for another company. And I share that with you because we had never heard of this. We were in this industry, we worked with hundreds of doctors, and we had never heard of LifeVantage. We'd never heard of Protandim. We'd never heard of oxidative stress. We'd never heard of the NRF2 pathway, okay? None of it. So here's how it came about, okay? Who or what is LifeVantage? It goes back where the publicity showed up on this science that had been being developed since the 60s, okay? But sure enough, it was ABC Primetime, investigative report. Somebody may have sent you the video to watch. It's out there, okay? Whoever invited you on tonight could send it to you. But if you've ever watched it, and I believe we all have, it's been on for decades and decades, they did an investigative report on Protandim, LifeVantage, Protandim, okay? And if you've ever watched the show, they're not doing an investigative report to report good news. They're generally checking in on lies, cheating, scams, things like that. You know, that's why they're doing an investigative report to bring something to the surface, okay? And they did that in 2005, and John Quiñones, okay, who still is on the show sometimes and on TV, he went into the lab and said, you know, that sounds fascinating. I'd like to have my own blood checked. And he had his blood drawn. Okay, now, if you heard April, if you were listening, okay, it said scientifically proven, and we are allowed to say this, okay, reduces oxidative stress in an individual by an average of 40% in 30 days. So the average person's oxidative stress, internal rust, I like to call it, is going to be reduced by 40% over the course of 30 days. Well, John Quiñones didn't wait 30 days. I kind of call that cheating. You know, they already had their mind made up what they're going to do. He decided to come in after 2 weeks and have his blood checked again. And it's like, wait, you know, we said 30 days, not 2 weeks. But you know what? He had his blood checked again, and his oxidative stress had already been reduced by 45% in just 2 weeks. And what was meant to be a gotcha kind of investigative report ended up becoming a commercial for us. See, they validated and proved what we were saying on national TV. And we still show it, okay, to this day. It's really fascinating to see what happened. But then we got listed on the NASDAQ stock exchange under LFVN. But here's where it all began, as far as I'm concerned, okay? They tried selling a product and a science that nobody'd ever heard of and nobody knew anything about traditionally in GNCs and pharmacies and stuff. And they were selling less than a bottle a month per location. And it wasn't until they switched to direct sales in 2009 that the word started to get out. Because see, the product has a story, okay? And people relate to stories. And people started telling the story about Protandim and what it did. Okay, that led to an entire new industry called nutrigenomics surfacing. Okay, and that industry in itself is going to be over $17 billion in the next couple of years. Okay, we're already doing about $250 million in sales, okay, $250 million in sales right now. But we're projected to become $1 billion company over the next 5 years. Okay, and I always like to mention this. And again, I don't know how old most of you folks are, excuse me, but if you're a fan of Julia Roberts, which we are, okay, she played Erin Brockovich in the movie, back probably close to 20 years ago or something. But the real Erin Brockovich, the real health advocate around the globe, is actually on our corporate board of directors. She joined us about 2 years ago. So just a little tidbit there for those of you that remember the movie Erin Brockovich. So it's not Julia Roberts on our board, it's the real Erin Brockovich, okay? But what's neat about it is we're already a global company with plans on becoming more global. As a matter of fact, we opened up another country, the Philippines, just last month, you know, during this pandemic. So right now we're in 23 different countries, you know, 8 or 10 in Europe, Canada, Mexico, United States, a lot of the Pacific Rim now. And it's a company that's planning on going into over 100 countries over the next decade. So this isn't just a US thing, okay? If you know people in other places, there's a good chance we may be doing business there or targeting doing business there in the near future. Now, here's what I'd like to share with you, and I'd like you to relate back over the last 2 years. So I'm going to ask you to replay the clock a little bit in your head. We've all gone through what we've gone through with this pandemic, this virus, COVID, all this stuff for the last 2 years. Some of us differently, depending on where we lived. Okay, and obviously not everyone's affected the same with illness and death and everything else that went on. But what I want you to think about are the benefits of this kind of business, okay? What happened in the last 2 years more than anything else from a business standpoint? People and businesses and corporations learned that people prefer and are just as effective, if not more so, when they work from home. Well, this is a business where you work from home or anywhere you happen to be. See, we do this business through social sharing, and we do it mostly by texting and using an app. We have an online office, a virtual office to run our business, okay? We have that. And there's minimal startup costs to get in, a business like this. But what's really neat and very different from what we did our first 25 years in this industry is no inventory requirements. There's low to no overhead. Okay, we have a personal online store in every, every market, every language. And the products are shipped directly to the customer. So you and I don't need to handle it. We don't have to handle the financial transactions. We don't have to handle the product. Kind of sounds like Amazon, don't it? And that's the beauty of a business like this. Look at what happened over the last 2 years. Do you know how many corporations told their employees, hey, you can keep working from home. You don't have to come back to the business. You know how many commercial office buildings are now available for space because companies don't need as much as they had? So the beauty of this business is you work it from your phone or laptop anywhere you happen to be. Okay, I think that's fascinating. And, I love the fact that we get to do that and I get to work with my wife that way. Now, look at the earning possibilities. I'm just going to give you 3 examples. And by the way, the numbers you're looking at are in no way my opinion. These are published on our website. We have to submit to the Federal Trade Commission, Securities Exchange Commission. We have to commit our, accounting numbers and verify what's being paid and stuff. So these are all verifiable numbers, but we use terms, our distributor terms. We use Pro 1, Pro 2, Pro 3, 5, 6, 7, all the way up to 10. I want to give you 3 examples. And let me ask you a question. Besides yourself, because I'd like you thinking about other people. I'd like you thinking about supporting other people. I'd like you thinking about helping other people. See, this just isn't about me and you, okay? This is about everybody we know and the difficult circumstances or the desires that have been created in other people over the last couple of years. Do you know the average Pro 3 in our business is somebody that's got a repeat business, okay, where there's about $5,000, or what we call it points, 5,000 points worth of product that's being shipped every month. And there's a repeat income, okay, of over $600 to $700 a month that gets paid. Now that's a Pro 3 business. That's a very small business, okay, in this business. But let me just zero in on a dollar amount. How many people in this country or the world would appreciate having an extra $600 or $700 a month coming in every month repeatedly over and over again? Just keeps coming. Hey, that helps with the rent. That helps with food. Lord knows food. I mean, look at everything's doubled in price with inflation. But that could make a car payment. Okay, but look at the next number. Look at Pro 5, $3,100 a month. We're talking about, give or take, around $40,000 a year. Do you know $40,000 a year? That might keep one person in a 2-income house home to maybe take care of the kids, homeschool the kids, whatever needs to be done. Do you realize a Pro 5 in this business is just 4 people that have done Pro 3? It's just 20,000 points. It's only about 200 orders total, entire total orders that April described with the Tri-Synergizer. That's all it is. Okay, yet that's 40,000 a year as it goes out month after month. Now look at Elite Pro 7, okay? Now that's a bigger number, okay? You're talking 13, 14,000 a year. Now you're getting upwards about 200,000 in earnings, okay, on that number. Do you know that that's just 5 people doing Pro 5, or that's just 20 people that are Pro 3s. That's all that is. See, that's about 1,000 people using product, but not you getting 1,000 people, a team of 10 that has 100 customers each, a team of 5 that has 200 customers each. See, it's all about doing and teaching. You do a little bit and you teach it and it multiplies. You do a little bit, teach it, multiplies. And we have a system in place to help you do it. We have a 3 to 5 year business plan that'll match anything you desire. Okay, and here's the best part. This is a legacy business. And what that means is you get to pass it on to loved ones. It's willable and transferable and heritable to your heirs and your children and grandchildren. And I love that. I mean, we have 3 boys, and April and I, plan on doing this for a long time, but I kind of like the fact that we get to leave it to them when we're done with it. It's really exciting. Now, here's the thing. I got a couple minutes left and I'm going to close up. Is this a good business opportunity? That should be a question you're asking yourself. And can I do this? Well, a good business opportunity. Let's see, we have unique patented products that nobody else has. And we're the leaders in the science behind the products. Not even talking about just the products. We're the leaders in the science of nutrigenomics. It's a massive market. Everybody gets benefits. The products are affordable and they're backed by reputable science. What I love best, they're consumable and they're available through monthly subscription. We call it a subscription model. Okay. In other words, you save money every month, you get free shipping every month. Okay. If it goes out automatically and you have the ability to move that, cancel it, delay it, control it, that's all within your control, but we call it a subscription model. So the real question left, okay, is can I do this? Please listen carefully to this. Okay. I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. You already are doing it. You just may not be getting paid for what you're doing. See, we use an app or text from our phone. We do business during the in-between times of our day. See, just like when you may be looking at Instagram or Facebook, checking your email, calling an Uber, whatever it is, okay, those in-between times of the day when you check your text messages, your instant messages, that's when we do this business. And we have a simple system that we use. We call our ITT system, where we invite, like tonight, you were invited to a Zoom, but we have other things, that you can invite to. We share a tool. Tonight it's a Zoom. It could be a video. It could be a link. It could be a number of things. And we use our teammates to answer questions and verify things when you're new in the business and just getting started. We have all regular meetings, training schedules, all kinds of things set up. There's a system in place for you to plug into, okay? It's a plug and play system. Now, last is this, okay? How can you be supportive? How can you support the person who invited you? Okay, well, one, activate your own health and be a customer. Well, that's kind of obvious. There's no fees to join. All monthly subscriptions are at a discounted price. There's a 20% discount and free shipping. Okay, if you're on, excuse me, a subscription. But you may want to consider joining us in the business. We all know people that are open and interested in creating another stream of income to go with what they have, or maybe to replace something they lost. And all you got to do is share the unique products, help change people's lives, and show them how to build a legacy business that in return will change your life too. There's also the opportunity to be a source of referrals. And I'll tell you, referrals are the best source of business you will ever get in a business like this. But my recommendation is to be a source of referrals for yourself. Okay. But if you don't want to be a source for yourself, please be a source for the person who invited you on the Zoom. And getting started, it's very easy. just speak to the person that invited you onto this Zoom. That's all you got to do in order to get started. Now, I'm going to close with this, and then I'm going to go back to the screen so we can wave to each other and say goodnight. But number one, on behalf of April and myself, thank you. We're very grateful for your time and support in joining us here tonight. Number two, if you'd like to learn more about all the products, just join Lifespan Matters with Team Unity. That's the name of our Facebook group, and the link is right there. And you know, you can learn all you want about the products. As a matter of fact, you can just ask the person who invited you here tonight to send you a link to the group, and you'll automatically be added to the group. But with that, what I want to do is stop the share. And there's everybody again. I like seeing everybody. It makes my night. Okay, I appreciate everyone joining there. Please do me a favor, okay, as we end this. Please text or message back the person that invited you on. Let them know that you tuned in, you watched, and let them know if you're interested in, you know, being a customer, looking at getting involved in the business, or if there's still a few questions that you have and you want to get answered. But please get back to them and let them know that you were on this evening. But with that, I officially would like to say goodnight to everybody and have a good time. April and I are available to answer any questions. If you have some, you can reach us directly through whoever invited you on tonight. Thank you again. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.